Hello there. I'm Jeff the interviewer. Welcome to Historical Interviews. Today, we will be interviewing a famous figure from history, Galileo Galilei.
Hello there, Jeff. Thank you for inviting me here for an interview.
So Galileo, how was your early life?
Well, I was born in 1564 in Pisa, Italy. I was the oldest of 7 children of Vincenzo Galilei. My family was poor, so my dad wanted me to become a doctor so our family could get money. In 1571, I moved to Florence.
Okay, next question. Where did you receive your education?
I went to a local school in Florence. There, I studied philosophy and history. When I was 11, my dad sent me to a Jesuit monastery so I could study there. I studied Greek, Latin, and logic there. I wanted to become a monk, but my dad wanted me to become a doctor, so he withdrew me from the monastery. In 1581, I went to the University of Pisa, where I studied medicine. I decided to stop studying medicine and instead study mathematics. I went home in 1585, I spent 2 years studying medicine and 2 years studying mathematics, but I didn't get a degree.
Oh, so I heard something about you and a pendulum from one of my co-workers. What was it?
When I was 20, I went to a cathedral and saw a lamp swinging. I was curious to see how long it took to go back and forth, so I used my pulse to time swings. To my surprise, the period of each swing was the same. This was the law of the pendulum. The pendulum was later used to make clocks. It instantly made me famous.
Interesting. Alright, next question. Wait. What is that plant doing here? Hey you. Get it out.
Okay.
Sorry about that. Time for the next question. Someone told me that you tried to test Aristotle's ideas. Was this true?
So, during my time, people believed in Aristotle's ideas. Aristotle thought that heavier objects fell faster than lighter ones. I wanted to test this idea out, so I dropped 2 balls of different weights off the Leaning Tower of Pisa in front of a crowd. To the crowd's surprise, the balls hit the ground at the same time. I proved Aristotle wrong.
Fascinating. What happened after that?
In 1593, I became the teacher at the University of Padua. My father died, so I became the head of my family. I needed money to pay my debts, like the dowry of one of my sisters. I began to create inventions and sell them for money. I created a rudimentary thermometer, which allowed temperature variations to be recorded. I also created a device to raise water from aquifers, and a military compass, which could let militaries accurately aim cannonballs or civilians to survey land.
So Galileo, you are probably most well known for your telescope. Tell me about it.
Well, I heard rumors that some Dutch man created a device that made faraway objects seem closer. First, it was called the spyglass, but it was later renamed to the telescope. I didn't see it, but I wanted to make one of my own. After a while, I finally made a telescope. It was actually more powerful than the original one. I pointed my telescope at the moon. During my time, people thought that the moon was perfectly smooth. When I looked at the moon, it was uneven, rough, and full of craters. I just proved another belief wrong.
What else did you discover with your new telescope?
I pointed my telescope at Venus. I saw that Venus was going through phases. This meant that Venus was revolving around the Sun, proving the heliocentric universe to be true. I also looked at Jupiter and saw some stars there. From further observations, I realized the stars were actually satellites orbiting Jupiter. This meant the Earth wasn't the only center of motion, further supporting the heliocentric universe. I published my findings in a book called The Starry Messenger.
Alright, it's time for my final question. Were any of your findings disagreed by some people?
Yes. My findings about the heliocentric universe contradicted what the Catholic Church, so they warned me not to teach the heliocentric universe, because they didn't want people to think that its other teachings were also wrong. But I didn't listen. I created a dialogue about the heliocentric universe called Dialogue on Two Great Systems of the World. The person who supported my side of the argument was brilliant while the one who didn't was foolish. After that, the church forced me to confess that the geocentric universe is true. I might have whispered, and yet it moves, afterwards.
Well, thank you Galileo for answering these questions. Goodbye.